Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for a Southampton versus Man City FA Cup quarter-final preview. Let's get into our thoughts. Right, Joe, the quarter-finals of the FA Cup is upon us. We are one step away from getting back to Etihad South, Wembley Stadium. But Southampton are a team that have caused us quite a bit of trouble this season, haven't they? They drew with us both times. We drew with them in St Mary's, we drew with them in the Etihad, and they are a massive reason as to why the title race is well and truly on. But this is a different competition. The treble is well and truly on. We're still in this FA Cup. We're 3 games away from winning it. I know there's still quite a few decent teams left, but it can very much be done. We're still in the Champions League, and of course the Premier League title race is on. But this is not going to be an easy game. Southampton seem to have their tails up when they play against us. They seem to be very confident in the way they set up. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's interesting that Southampton have done so well over us recently that they've managed to take 4 points off us this season, and arguably should have been 5. They arguably should have won the game at the Etihad. Like, they probably should have had a penalty, but I mean, that's been and gone. We just can't seem to get over. It's another team that we just can't seem to get over. They're like a mini Liverpool. They play a similar style. They press really, really well. But I mean, look, someone's got to win this game. The duck's got to be over. One team's got to actually win this game. It can't finish levels. One team's got to go through. And normally, I wouldn't know whether the team like Southampton will maybe rotate a little bit, considering it's the cup match, but we've got an international break coming up, and it's 1 game away from Wembley. They will want to get back to Wembley. That is invaluable for a team like Southampton, because they think if they can get to Wembley, then they have like a decent chance of actually going all the way, because after that, there's no, it's a neutral ground after that. Anything can happen, so they'll be up for it for sure. Whether we will be, I think we will. I think we've just come off the back of 2 back-to-back 0-0s. Surely we have to be up for winning a game of football.
Yeah, there's definitely an issue with putting the ball in the net. It was evident against Palace, wasn't it? You know, we hit the post so many times. Bernardo missed an open goal once, and you could kind of argue another one as well. Laporte, I think, missed an open goal. There's definitely an issue right now with just being clinical, but this is a game where we need to bounce back. I mean, it's knockout football. I don't think there's replays for this. So it's going to have to be won the day. We can't allow ourselves to slip up against Southampton again. And you said it. They will want to get back to Wembley, where they feel they belong. They've been there before plenty of times, and it will be massive for their club to have a day out in Wembley. So they will say, listen, we've drawn with City twice this season. There's absolutely no reason we can't go on and claim ourselves a place in Wembley. And it would obviously ruin our treble and puts our season at jeopardy, because the other 2 competitions we're still in are not going to be easy tasks to complete. But we have to bounce back. There's no room for error here. The players, yes, you could argue Southampton is a game where you could rotate, or you could mess around a little bit with the team, but I don't think Pep will. I think he knows the dangers, that the threat that Southampton can pose. I mean, in my opinion, Southampton created the original blueprint as to how you nullify City this season. They were the first team, other than Tottenham in the first day of the season. We kind of write that off because we should have won that. But other than that, Southampton were the first team to really take points off us this season and really make us look poor, frustrate us properly. They sat deep, they defended really well, and they attacked when they needed to as well. I mean, I'll give them credit for that. So they feel there's absolutely no reason they can't come into this. What are you expecting from City, and what would you like to see from City? I know we would like to see a 3-4-0 win, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't think it's going to be the case either. This is, you look at the teams left, it's probably not the hardest draw, but it's still not an easy draw. Like, again, you're at this stage of the competition where you've come too far to really, experiment with stuff at this point. Like, I get if you drew Southampton in the 3rd round or whatever, then maybe I'd get rotating a bit more because you're still early on in the season. But this is a quarter final. It's a chance to go to Wembley. You've come too far to give it up now. You've got to kind of go strong. And again, international break coming up. I wouldn't be surprised if Pep puts out a pretty much full strength team. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Same with Southampton. Wouldn't surprise me at all if both teams just go, toe to toe for it. And look, it's going to be a matter of, can we actually put the ball in the back of the net? That is the main issue right now. And when Southampton defend like they have done against us, it's not going to be any easier. I mean, I've I remember watching that Southampton game, that second one in St Mary's, being 1-0 down. It was so frustrating to watch, like being 1-0 down so early on. I think it was in the 7th minute or whatever. We just can't afford to be going down that early, because we know what happens when City get frustrated. They start just trying like ideas from here, there, and everywhere, trying on some 40-yard passes and crossing it in again and again and again. It's almost like we run out of ideas. So I think the first goal in this game is crucial. And at the end of the day, again, look, someone's got to win this game. It can't finish level. And you're right, there's no replays, so it could go to penalties.
I think you're right, and you've hit the nail on the head there with the first goal is absolutely crucial. The pattern of when we drop points or when we aren't playing well, it suggests that when the opposition scores first, or they keep us at bay for 60, 70, 80 minutes and they frustrate us, they generally seem to have a good time. So for us, it is a matter of scoring first, and ideally in the first half, because once you get into that second half and the nerves and doubts start to creep in and things that, and your plan isn't really working, you need to strike early while the iron is hot, it basically asked me. And also bear in mind that Southampton do have a very excellent attacking threat. They've got players who can score. That Broja fella is an absolute beast of a player. I think he's got a big future in the game, that kid. Isn't he on loan from Chelsea, from the Cobham Academy or something? He's a serious player, and he can score goals. We've seen him do it all season for Southampton, and they've got a number of other players who can punish on their day as well. So our defence that we've chosen in our predicted 11, if that's the case, if that's the players that Pep goes with, which I think it will be, they're going to have to be on form. And I think they've been poor recently, our defence. And I don't usually say that because usually we're so defensively sound. But I think there's quite a few errors that wouldn't usually happen creeping into the team. So with that much said, we're going to move over to our predicted starting 11 for this game. And we'll tell you who we chose. Okay, we are going to pop up our predicted starting 11 on screen for you to see right now. As always, get involved down below in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on our selections. Would you make any different selections? Is there anyone you would like to see? Anyone you think doesn't deserve to be there or does deserve to be there? Let us know. We've gone with Zach Steffen in goals. He usually does play these cup competitions, but he hasn't been fit for a while. He's had a couple of recurring injuries that has forced him out of playing. So he's back. We know he's fully fit. He's been on the bench a couple of times. We think Pep will give him the opportunity for this one. And he is sort of the exception to what we were saying about how Pep will go for a strong team. You'll see as the rest of our team on screen there, you'll see they're all pretty well nailed on starting 11 players every week. Or maybe one or two, you could argue. But listen, the back four, we've gone as strong as we can. Ruben Diaz is still out with injury. I know there was pictures surfacing on the internet of him training with the squad during the week, but those pictures have actually subsequently been taken down since, and he was not seen in training today, which is Friday at the time of recording. So we don't think he'll have any involvement. So we got Walker, Stones, Laporte, Cancelo. All four of them have a massive point to prove. I think all four of them in recent weeks have had below par performances in their own personal ways. I think there's been defensive errors or lapses of judgment or concentration. They're going to have to be solid here. That guy Broja I spoke about, he could give Laporte and Stones an awful time. He's a big physical battering ram, so they're going to have to be strong and solid. But with that said, if they are on form and they are playing well, this back four is extremely solid. Like, it's a really strong back four, but it's just a matter of whether they turn up, Joe.
Yeah, they haven't really turned up in recent games. I know we've kept a few clean sheets in that time, but you still look at, just errors creeping in here and there that, okay, they might not really result in a goal, but they're still happening. And on another day, they can result in a goal. So you just kind of need to cut them out. And I think Steffen is the outlier here. For me, he's pretty much nailed on to start. I mean, if he's fit, like fully fit, of course, which I believe he is. He's been on the bench a couple of times. Doesn't seem to be struggling with injury, has trained, so I see no problem there. Obviously, it's a little thing to point out that I don't think many people mention. I don't see it get pointed out a lot, but having someone like Steffen in there who doesn't normally start does affect us when we play out from the back, I think. I think with him being right-footed instead of left, all the muscle memory kind of goes a little bit out the window because you're trying to get it on the other side than what you normally would with Edison. And I think there's a valid point to make up, but I think he still is a good shot stopper, and there's no reason why he can't play well. I mean, look, he's the cup goalkeeper. He's here for a reason. He got a contract extension for a reason. Clearly, Pep trusts him. I trust him. So I've got no issue with it. And I think for me, the standout in defence that needs a good game is Cancelo, because my word against Palace, I think he ended up getting man of the match from some people against Palace. I didn't understand it whatsoever. I was not a fan of the performance. I think he's almost... he's starting to do things that De Bruyne's doing that I'm not liking, which is just kind of just crossing from stupid areas, and it's just not working, and he keeps doing it. And he shoots from 30, 40 yards, and yeah, again, he hit the post against Palace. Sometimes they go in, trouble the keeper. So you need to shoot from range sometimes, but I'm not a fan of my fullback taking shots, to be honest. But again, he just needs a good game. Error-free is all that I ask for.
Error-free, absolutely, because there is no room for error in these one-off cut matches. Moving into midfield, we've gone with Rodri in defensive midfield. He's our usual choice. He's definitely the main defensive midfielder now, ahead of club captain Fernandinho, and he's rumoured to be top of the queue right now for a contract extension. And I think it's deserved. I think for 95% of the season, Rodri has been very consistent, possibly fallen off just a little bit from his high standard set in recent weeks, but he's still more than trustworthy for this game. And then in the midfield, you'll notice we have not gone with Kevin De Bruyne. Do not come at us in the comments, or do let us know your thoughts. But we've not gone with him. We thought he was quite poor against Palace. He may need a rest. He plays a lot of football, and his role is quite taxing, Kevin De Bruyne. We think he will be an impactful sub, but you never know with Pep. So we've gone with Bernardo, who is the life and soul of this team. I think it's fair to say his everlasting energy is absolutely crucial, particularly in these big games. Do have no doubts, people. This game is absolutely massive, whether it's FA Cup or not. Building and maintaining a winning mentality is crucial in a title race. And of course, we want to win the FA Cup. So Bernardo is a huge, huge role in this team in these massive moments. And we've gone with Gundogan, who should have been the only substitution, in my opinion, against Palace. I've no problem with Sterling and Jesus not coming on. I can understand that. But I would like to have seen Gundogan against Palace. He adds a huge amount of composure and stability to our midfield. And he's also capable of nicking a goal at the same time as well. So we have given him the nod over De Bruyne this time. But it also still could be De Bruyne. You never know with Pep. What do you think about this midfield, Joe? Rodri, Bernardo and Gundogan. Three players I rate very highly. And if they turn up on the day, they can cause a lot of trouble.
For me, and I think for a lot of people, this is our best midfield. This is our most balanced midfield three that we have at this moment in time. They work so well together, worked so well last season, worked so well this season when we've seen it. I think it's the go-to for me right now. And again, I could see Fernandinho playing because it's a cup match and he doesn't get an awful lot of football, so this would be a chance to, give him his, game every once in a while that he sometimes gets. But again, we think Pep's just going to go for this game because you've come too far to lose. So I think Rodri, often it's a 50-50 for me. We've gone with Rodri just because, for me, I would go Rodri. Bernardo, I think, is a shoo-in in this sort of game. With Southampton pressing as well as they do, they bring a lot of energy to the game. We're going to need someone who's going to combat that energy. Bernardo Silva will do that. And look, he's been doing it all season, even if he has a subpar game. Like, he missed a couple of sitters against Palace, but he still ran his arse off. Like, that's just what he does. That's what he brings to the team. And the thing is with De Bruyne, I thought he picked up in the second half against Palace, but that first half was nothing short of poor. Just poor. And in this sort of game, you can't afford to have a poor half. You've got to be on it from the first minute. You can't afford to be asleep for 10 minutes because again, first goal's crucial. They score in that first 10 minutes where you're asleep, then you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I still wouldn't be surprised to see De Bruyne because Pep obviously likes De Bruyne in these big moments, but I would personally like to see this midfield, and there's no issue with bringing De Bruyne off the bench in the second half if needs be, but I would just like to see Gundogan get this opportunity. I think he deserves it. He's been consistently good and possibly unappreciated a little bit this season. Moving into the front three, we have gone with Grealish on the left, Foden up front, and Sterling on the right this time. Mahrez, of course, is our top scorer this season, and he's absolutely firing. But I have the impression at the minute that Pep likes to have Mahrez on the bench sometimes to bring on as an impact sub. Maybe if you're in desperate need of a goal, bringing on Riyad Mahrez is absolutely frightening for an already tired full-back. And Sterling hasn't had a huge amount of football recently. He didn't feature against Palace, didn't feature against United. So we think he should be fresh, and there's no reason, there should be no doubts over Raheem Sterling. I think he's playing quite well when he is called upon. Foden is possibly going under below his high standards that we know he usually has recently. Not saying he's been overly poor or he's been bad or anything like that. I just think he's maybe struggling to have the impact on the games that he would usually have and he would like to have. Grealish is someone who I think is actually growing in confidence massively right now. He got that goal against... Who was that team he played in the Cup, Joe?
I'm at Peterborough.
Peterborough, sorry, people. He got that goal against Peterborough, and he looks good, man. He looks good. I think he's adapting. He's starting to understand the way we play football now. He's starting to understand Pep and his role in the team. He looks good. So I have no issue with continuing in that flow with Grealish and continuing to give him these opportunities, because you be rest assured he's going to be a crucial player for us in years to come. This is a front three of players, all extremely highly rated, all with different points to prove, and there's no better stage than an FA Cup quarter-final. Go out there, earn the team a spot in Wembley, and make a name for yourself. Joe, it's a pretty strong front three. Obviously, it could very easily be Mahrez, the Pep goes with, but we've just given Sterling the nod this time.
Yeah, I think that goal against Peterborough for Grealish really helped his confidence, because he then went and started the Manchester derby out of that performance, and he didn't get a goal or an assist, but he still put in a 9 out of 10 performance. That's how good he was. Albeit I put it down to United just being poor, because they just are. But I mean, look, with Foden against Palace, I wasn't a fan of how he was playing. I don't know whether Pep's told him to play how he did, but he just didn't drop at all. In that first half, he was playing like a proper number 9, and it just didn't suit his game. I think we need someone who's actually going to drop. Leave the centre halves a little bit confused on Southampton side. Do they pick up the man? Do they leave him in the space? That is what the false 9 is there to be used for. It's an extra midfielder. They drop, and they provide an extra man, and we didn't have that against Palace. Foden was playing on the last man at times, and it didn't work. So I hope he goes back, if he plays. I hope he goes back to that, or whoever plays there. And for me, Sterling needs a bit of a look in now. Of course, he had that good run of form. Didn't start the derby, which I understood. He normally never has a good game against United. Starting at Sporting, nothing game, and then didn't even come off the bench against Palace. I wasn't totally against the idea, but it would have been nice to see him, feature in some way, shape, or form against Palace, because, again, he's a player who I think can have an impact in games with his pace, so I think he's got a little bit of a point to prove. Again, we did a video on, him possibly leaving the club because his contract's expiring. I want him to stay because he's, picked up his form, but he's not going to stay if he doesn't get minutes, and this is a time where, he can prove that he can start the big games, and we've obviously got that tough run in after the international break with the 2 Champions League games in Liverpool, and we're going to have to use the squad because it's a congested fixture list.
Something I want to add on to our predicted 11 is someone I've started to recently talk about at the end of our predicted 11s but never features, is Liam Delap, right? I talk about this guy a lot, even though I have absolutely zero confidence he's going to get much game time, especially in big games, but I really want this kid to get opportunity. I mean, that Palace game was screaming out for a natural number 9 to come on for 15 minutes. I'm actually certain, I'm almost certain he would have bagged one of those chances. He's got that striker instinct. I want Pep in these situations. I still know he won't, but I have to get this out there. I want Pep in these situations where it's 0-0 or it's 1-1 and we're chasing a goal desperately, to be able to see this and bring on the striker. He's a striker, a natural instinct striker, clinical number 9. Give him 10 minutes and give him an opportunity. Go out to make a name for himself. I think it's a plan B that Pep needs to start considering. Now, I will never disagree with decisions Pep makes or be angry at him for anything, because Pep is Pep. He's an absolute genius. But I would like to see it personally. Is that our item being added to our toolbox, if you like. Even though he's a young kid with very little experience, let him gain the experience, is what I'm saying, Joe.
Yeah, it's something that we cry out for week in, week out, and it's never going to happen, which is disappointing. But at the same time, when you're missing sitters, 3-4 sitters in a game, surely it comes to mind to have your only, striker at your club that's capable of playing at this level, at least on the bench. Now, I'm pretty sure he wasn't on the bench because he might have played. I'm pretty sure he played for the under-23s the day before, so I understood that. Yeah. But I mean,
he wasn't at Palace. He wasn't at Palace, but we could have done with him, is what I was saying.
Yeah, we could have done with him, and I don't think he'll make the squad for Southampton, because I think we've got a lot of players that we have fit currently, so I don't know if he even fits on the bench. So I don't know, man. It's disappointing. I saw him against Fulham. He looked great. I just don't think he'll give it against Southampton. I don't think he's willing to, give him this chance, which is unfortunate. But again, I trust him with development of young players. I mean, look at Foden and Palmer. They're getting on pretty fine.
Yeah, look, it's a frustrating one because it's such an obvious option to to use. It's just a possible solution to an ongoing problem we have, which at times is simply just putting the ball in the back of the net. And we know he's so good at that. He's proven at a very high level of doing that. He just needs to be given the opportunity to take that next step. I believe it's, you know, if you can't do it now, the guy's never going to get a chance. Is what I'm saying, and it would be a shame to lose this kid because he's extremely talented. Listen, I think it's time to do our score predictions. I could ramble on all night about Liam Delap. I'm very passionate about that subject. But give me your score predictions. FA Cup quarter-final in St Mary's. It's going to be a tough one.
It is going to be a tough one, and I think it is going to be incredibly scrappy. I'm going to go for a 1-0 City win. I think Sterling will get a goal. I'm not nervous, but I am wary of just the threat that Southampton pose. Like, it's going to be incredibly tight. Whoever wins it, it's only going to be by like a singular goal.
So you're saying 1-0?
Yeah.
1-0 from Joe. Jesus Christ, we really don't make life difficult for ourselves. And I can see that being the outcome. I really can. I can see it being 1-0 for Southampton too, but I'll never back against my team. I'm going to say 2-1 City. Very similar pattern to what Joe was suggesting. A scrappy, hard-fought win. And, as always, you know who I'm going to back to score a goal. Super Jackie Grealish. I'm absolutely dying for this guy to score more goals. I love him so much, and I believe in him. I know he's going to have a fantastic career at City. He's going to score for me in St Mary's this weekend. Listen, leave all of your score predictions down below in the comments. Leave your thoughts on our predicted starting 11. We want to know all your thoughts on this game. It is a massive fixture, people. Don't get it twisted. This is absolutely massive. We are on for a treble, and this is part of the process, and it needs to be a win. So let us know all your thoughts. Leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you very soon, hopefully with a positive review of an FA Cup game. Good night, God bless.